What up, everyone? It is Danik Brock, or Mr. Brock to some people, depending on where you see me. I see that there's three people on. Who's in here right now? My nieces, my nephews, random people. Just type something in the chat so I can know if you're here, okay? But anyways, let's get into today in history, everyone. So, couple things. So today in history, obviously today is St. Patrick's Day. So I hope you guys are celebrating the best you can. We're obviously not going to be able to go out and go do things. Probably not see the Green River in Chicago or the typical parades, but I hope you guys are celebrating at home and doing something fun. So I wanted to start off with a couple of random jokes that I thought were really funny for St. Patrick's Day. So what is a huge Irish spider called? So it's called Patty Longlegs, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. The next joke for St. Patrick's Day. What kind of spells do leprechauns use? Do you guys know? Lucky Charms. Delicious cereal, by the way. What happens if you cross poison ivy with a four-leaf clover? What happens? You get a rash of good luck. So go ahead, share those with other people. I think they're pretty funny. They're kind of random. But yeah, they're there for you. So today in history, obviously today is St. Patrick's Day. We celebrate this day every year, and we do it to honor St. Patrick and his death, and also the arrival of Christianity in Ireland. I'm not going to be talking about the fundamentals of Christianity or anything of that nature, just some facts about him. So, couple facts about St. Patrick. So, St. Patrick is the patron saint of Ireland. So he was born in Roman Britain, which it was occupied by the Romans at this time in the late 4th century. So he lived there up until the age of 16 when Irish pirates actually kidnapped him, and he was sold into slavery, sold into a Druid community. At this time, Ireland had pagan religions that basically ran the whole country. And he was sold into a family where they were Druids. So he worked and helped mend the crops and work with the sheep, and that was his job in slavery at that time. That's what he was supposed to do. So St. Patrick, after being put into slavery, he actually escaped and found his way to France, which was very interesting. So he grew up in a very wealthy family. Education was actually not at the forefront of what his parents wanted him to do, nor was religion. So to see this huge historic figure come out and basically change his life after fleeing away from captivity, he went to France and actually started his priesthood. So he was ordained a deacon during this time in France when he escaped, and later became a bishop. And that's where we see him actually make his way back to Ireland around about 432 AD or CE. So AD is after death, CE is Common Era. Depending on what textbook you guys look at, it will address history this way. So AD is after death, and then CE is Common Era. So he made his way back to Ireland, became a missionary, and actually started going around to all his former captors and was sharing Christianity with them. So that was his main goal when he left France, headed back to Ireland. That's what he was doing. Some of the legends that kind of surround this interesting man is he drove all the snakes out of Ireland. This is still a myth that exists to this day. Really interesting that some people actually believe this. Actually, there's no snakes in Ireland, nor were there at this time, because due to weather changes, there was no snakes in the country. Also, there was another legend that surrounds this man. He used the shamrock to explain the Trinity. So the shamrock, right, the four-leaf clover, he was using that to explain the Trinity and what that meant. So those are some random facts about St. Patrick. Awesome figure. Probably one of my favorite figures from history, just based on his story, is so interesting. I highly recommend you guys check it out. Go look at some books about St. Patrick, because this guy was amazing. Just interesting story all around. So here's my question for you guys for today. Um, as you celebrate St. Patrick's Day, what do you believe St. Patrick's first thought was when he was taken into slavery? So, what do you think he first thought? Um, was he excited? Was he sad, scared? Did what was going through his mind at that time? And how do hard circumstances or situations shape your response to future events? So, when you're put through something that's tough, how does that change the way you respond to a similar situation in the future? Um, I think we're put through some things in our life because that's the only way we grow. It's the only way we continue to expand humanity, and to grow as humans is to be challenged. So if I would argue, if you're not being challenged, even though under the current circumstances it might be difficult, there's something that's going to be great that's going to come out of this. Just like I was saying yesterday in my video, who knows what could happen after we're all locked down for a period of time. We could have a renaissance of itself, take place during this time, an enlightenment of knowledge, and that could happen. And I hope it does happen. So those are my questions for you today. If you guys feel like responding in the live chat, or you just want to send them to me, that's awesome as well. So the questions were: what do you believe St. Patrick's first thought was as he was taken into slavery? Remember, I shared that he was taken into slavery when he was 16 years old, sold to Irish pirates, and then worked as a slave for a period of time. And then, how do you feel that hard circumstances or situations shape your response to future events? What I mean by that is, when we're put into difficult situations, do you feel like they are necessary for us to continue to grow as humans? So we're challenged, and we can know what to do next time something happens, right? So those are my questions for you guys for today. If you want, type in the chat or send me a message. That's totally fine either way. Other random facts for today. So let's move on from St. Patrick, and let's go through a couple facts. Interesting people were born today and made giant impacts on the world. One of those individuals was Dred Scott. So Dred Scott was born in 1777. So he was made famous by filing in court, basically for his freedom, right, from his slave master. Well, this case went all the way to the Supreme Court. It was taken up there, and some interesting things came out of that. Maybe not necessarily this man's freedom or his family's freedom, but these things led to things happening, such as the Emancipation Proclamation, right? Abraham Lincoln wrote that based on Dred Scott, what he went through. That definitely influenced him. Other things that were influenced by Dred Scott and what he went through were the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and the 15th Amendment, right? The 13th Amendment essentially abolished slavery across the United States, which obviously was one of the greatest amendments added, along with the 14th Amendment, which granted citizens and all persons born or naturalized in the United States equal protection under the laws, right? We all have the equal protection granted to us under the Constitution, the 14th Amendment. And the other amendment that kind of was influenced by Dred Scott also was the 15th, right? So this granted African American men the right to vote by declaring that the right of citizens of the United States to vote should not be denied based on race, color, creed, servitude, anything of that nature, right? These came into fruition or came to being after Dred Scott's case. So that was super interesting. I actually last year got to go to the old Supreme Court chambers in the U.S. Capitol and saw where the Dred Scott case took place. So that was really interesting to stand right in history, where history happened, right? That was really cool. Other facts for today. So Nat King Cole was born today in 1919, right? One of the greatest African-American musicians of our time. Awesome songs such as "Love Is the Way You Look at Me." Right, I'm not going to sing the whole thing because I'm not a singer. I'm a history teacher. And then also Albert Einstein. Um, he wrote a scientific paper detailing the quantum theory of light. So that came out, or he finished it actually today in 1905. So that helped create one of the foundations for physics, or the study of modern physics, was based on Albert Einstein's paper detailing his quantum theory of light. So those are kind of the random facts today in history I have for you guys. That's about it for me. Tomorrow I'll be back on probably right around the same time and have some more random facts for you guys. Like I said, if you guys have things you want me to talk about, subjects, topics, events, dates, what have you, send them to me. I will do my best to make it happen for you. Okay? And as always, stay positive, stay relentless in your pursuit of your goals, and never, ever give up on your dreams. And let's remain positive during this time as much as possible. I'm here to support you guys in whatever capacity I can. And I love you guys all. All right. Take care.